Hi, I'm Dr. Cher, and I'm going to talk to you today about an element that has to do with self-love and self-worth, and that is setting boundaries. So let me give you an example so you understand what I mean. Had a client who started with me a few months ago, actually. She's done very well. One of her patterns was that she just didn't take time. She'd get booked into meetings. She works from home. She's an executive person, but she is working from home right now because of COVID. And she would get booked into meetings all day long. Wouldn't really take time for any lunch. The day would finish. She was tired. She was starving. Would start snacking, in the kitchen as she's making dinner. This is one of the challenges that contributed to her weight gain. Also, prior to this, when we were not in COVID situation, the pandemic, she would often be going to see clients. There'd be lunches out. Sometimes they'd be ordering in lunches. She would never make any specific requests for the food, so whatever was being served, that's what she ate. And this was the pattern that had led to her putting on weight. So, of course, I had her on the plan, it's a great food plan and all that, but part of the experience and what she wanted from me and what I wanted to provide her with were the strategies to really transform her lifestyle. Because what we didn't want was for her to lose weight and then just go back to those old patterns. So that meant she needed to get a bit of a shift in her mindset and her sense of self-worth and her sense of feeling that her journey towards losing weight, her journey of maintaining her health, her journey of taking care of herself was important. And she hit a point where she was like, no, I am no longer willing to sacrifice my health and well-being, my confidence, my mood, sacrifice all of this for the sake of the patterns that she developed at work. So part of the coaching was working with her to say, okay, so how can this change? So she just basically started to set boundaries for herself. She was blocking time now for a lunch. And she would leave her office. She'd go, now as I say, this is during COVID, but she would go into her kitchen, she'd make a good lunch. Now she got to the point she thoroughly enjoyed her lunch. Initially, she kind of felt a little guilty, but then she got to the point like she looked forward to it. She didn't feel any guilt. And guess what? It did not have any negative impact on her work at all. Nobody was upset that she wasn't available for a period of time. It was a non-issue. So she realized she'd sort of let this situation go on, and it didn't really have to be, with her missing her lunches. She brought it on herself. Granted now with not going out to clients as often, but there's a few she had to go see. And so what she took initiative with, she'd say, okay, I'll bring the lunch. And this way, she could then do a takeout from a place that would cater in a way that would work for her with her food plan. So she was prioritizing the food. She wasn't saying, what would you like necessarily to the client and the other people in the office. So, okay, what's going to work for her? There's lots of good options. They'll be happy with their food too. But she didn't have to sabotage her path just because she was going to a client's place and letting them, maybe place the order for the food. So those are two very small examples, but they're setting boundaries. It's a mindset thing. It's going, no, I'm not going to let this get in the way anymore. And that's often what a lot of people have to do. And sometimes it's in very small ways. They don't realize the pattern that's been repeating itself. But being able to do that does take a certain amount, either getting to a point where you're like, no, you know what? I want to make the people around me happy, but not at the expense of my own health and well-being. And they're kind of starting to draw a bit of a line in the sand going, yeah, no, I'm not going to let you cross this line. I'm drawing a boundary here, and this journey is important to me, and I'm worth it, and I want to stick with it. And it's completely doable. It's giving yourself permission to do that. Part of it, that's one of my roles with my clients, is me encouraging them to do it. And I have been on the receiving end of this as well. I remember when years ago, and if anybody's been on my website, you may have heard my own personal journey when I put on weight and couldn't lose it, and that's what led to my discovery of this entire approach that I use now, which is great for women over 40. But prior to that, when I was putting the weight on, I had been seeing my naturopath, part of it because of weight, but some other issues. And I'll never forget, at that point, my life was extremely stressful. Both my parents were ill. I was working full time in a executive medical clinic and several things going on and hormonal changes. Anyways, and but stress was extremely high as well because more the caregiving role with my parents. Anyways, I'll never forget this because basically she started telling me I needed to draw some boundaries. I needed to make sure I carved out some time for me to have for my own enjoyment, doing something I love to do. And as she's telling me all this stuff, I was sitting in the chair thinking, I tell people this all day long, every day. And here I am, I have to be told? Oh my goodness. First I was embarrassed. I was like, oh, she must think I'm terrible at my job, right? Because I'm having to be told this. But then on the other hand, once I kind of got my ego out of the way, and listening to it and being told this, I was like, yeah, I do need to do this. But it took that somebody telling me to do it, that put me in a position where I could give myself permission to do it, and actually started sort of on the Saturday morning saying, okay, I need some time. And of course, my husband's supportive. My kids were a bit older, so that wasn't an issue. And I could do it. I had just never kind of claimed it for my own. So anyways, that's just some examples of ways to set boundaries. So be it the choices of food. If people are bringing food into the house that's making it very difficult for you, then just let them know that for a while. Maybe it's easier if those things aren't in the house. Take control. If your family's ordering in food, choose from a restaurant where you know there's going to be choices. Don't just go to the same old because that's what your family's always done. Looking at your scheduling, carving time out. What do you need to put in place? And be okay with that. I'm giving you permission now. I am giving you permission to stake this claim, draw your line in the sand, because you need to do it. And if you don't do it, you're just going to continually get frustrated. And the beauty of this is you're going to actually create new lifestyle habits that will support you in a lifestyle where you can enjoy your health, have more balance, and not risk sort of putting the weight back on again, right? Which is often when people do that, it's because they haven't dealt with the patterns. They've kind of white knuckled it through some sort of diet, and then all those old patterns come back to haunt you. So this is all part of self-love and self-care. Set some boundaries. Sometimes it's hard. It can be a bit uncomfortable, but the short-term discomfort of doing that is much better than the long-term discomfort of, never being happy in your body, having your health deteriorate, not feeling great, poor quality of life. So it is worth it. And odds are the people around you, they probably want that for you as well. You just got to ask for it. That's it. Okay. So I will be speaking again on another area relating to self-love and self-care next week. Take care. Bye-bye.